Hey everybody, I'm Jim,
I'm Eric.
and this is Kicking It with Jim and Eric.
Yes, we are kicking it.
We are kicking it like an old mule.
They're kicking over you. That's right. I thought they kick back.
Yeah, they do. Good morning.
Morning.
Good service.
Good service.
Good service.
Yes, good service. Yep.
Good topic. Good subject.
Yep.
Good
Yep.
music.
Yep. All the above.
No. So I'm going to call you out because there's two things I'm going to call you out on.
Okay.
One of them, Psalm 40.
Yep.
Now, at the beginning of the live stream, we have the intro, and then on chapter 40 it says choir director, music leader.
Yeah, I know.
And I was like, man, I don't know if he's preaching at me on this one and then you come out and said the music was okay, and I was like, oh man, preacher's coming straight for them toes.
No,
today.
no, man. Well, we did a song this morning that we've not done before. So,
Right. Yeah.
and it went well, but you're always a little self-conscious about those.
Yeah.
But hey, man, in the Book of Psalms, there's all kind of stuff about David being the choir director,
Yeah.
and David was a worship leader. I mean,
Yes.
David was a musician. I don't know what kind of instrument he played, but I bet he could thread whatever it was.
I was starting to say, I bet no matter what it was, he played play it.
He danced out of his clothes. He liked to worship so much.
Yeah, yeah. Which
He was not what you call a stick in the mud.
he was not a stick in the mud. Today's sermon title.
Thank God for the mud.
Thank God for the mud. Man, I saw that and I said, ooh, I'm gonna like this one.
Yeah. Sometimes we got to be a stick in. Well, we don't have to be a stick in the mud, but sometimes we are a stick in the mud. And thank God for people that see that we are.
Right. You had that experience this week.
I did have that experience this
We're
week.
not going to call her name, but we can call it. So tell us
It's a
what
dear
happened.
sister. Well, we were having our Wednesday night, our kids' night, riding for the brand here on Wednesday night, and we were having a good prayer time. And the kids was kind of leading it, really. And and I asked for prayer for myself, and I got a lot of prayer for myself. And first off, I'll be the first one to admit that I have been a little stick in the mud lately. We all have those times.
Sure.
But after it was all over with, dear sister here, we know who we're talking about. She's a lovely lady, and thank God for her.
Yeah.
But she came up to me, and she said, I'm so glad that we had this time. She said, because lately, you've been a stick in the mud. And I said, well, at first it's kind of abrasive, but she was right. And after a couple of days went by, I got to thinking about exactly what a stick in the mud is, A stick in the mud is a stick. First off, you take a stick. A stick is a piece of something that's much bigger than itself, that is no longer connected to its life source.
Right.
And when it lands in mud is also a place that's lifeless, hopeless, good for nothing, and now you're stuck in a place where there's no hope and you're disconnected from your source. And it takes somebody to call you out and say, look, I see you in this place.
Yeah.
And we need to get you out of that.
Right.
And it takes somebody.
And I'm going to go ahead and interject. I wasn't there when this happened. Of course, it's kind of biased because I know her.
Yeah.
But
And we love her.
Yeah, and we love her, exactly right. I think one of the great stories about this is how she come to you.
Yeah.
She didn't come to you in a condescending way and say, I'm not happy where you are right now.
No, she did not.
She was letting you know, hey, I'm seeing you kind of broke off from that main
She
source.
was genuinely concerned about my well-being spiritually.
Yes.
And if we could all be that way, man, if we had people in our lives that were really genuinely concerned about where we are with God,
Right.
oh man, how much damage could we fix?
Keeping us in check.
Oh yeah.
Because we ourselves, and I'm going to speak for me on this one, we can get ourselves so far away and nobody ever say anything to us.
Never know it.
And as Christians, that's not what we're supposed to be. The Bible says that we hold each other accountable.
That's exactly
when
right.
we see each other slipping and falling.
You bet.
And this is part of being that brother and sister in Christ and being Christ-like, saying, hey, I see you spiritually struggling. Now, of course, it don't necessarily always have to be spiritually, but spiritual is what we always focus on and talk about. So having that brother and sister, there's so many times that I wish someone would have said, hey, I'm not trying to get in your business, but I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I see things. I'm picking up on things. I feel like as if.
Mm-hmm.
And is this, if this is the case, let me pray with you.
Well, and if we had a genuine concern for our brothers and sisters, and not necessarily just the people around us that are saved, but if we had a genuine concern about where they are spiritually and what's going on in their lives. And I think that we would start watching and looking for those things. And see, that's the deal. Is there may be things going on all around us. We may be in the middle. We may be in that pit of despair like David was in chapter 40 and in the mud and the mire, and nobody even know it.
Yeah.
We're so good at hiding all those things, but we've got to be able to let people in.
And this kind of goes with, was it last week or week before last? We were talking about, and we actually talked really specifically about pastors sometimes get themselves in a position where they feel as if they have learned so much and they put themselves into this. This is really a bad example, put themselves in this almighty position.
Yeah.
That they are almost unapproachable.
It's like, yeah, that's right. And that's not a good place to be. That's the pit of despair.
Right.
Because look at what is it that causes us to feel like we're in a pit? There's a number of things. We can be in a bad relationship. We can be, and there may be an addiction in our life or some sin that when you get down and you get to where those things kind of consume you, whatever it is you're struggling against,
right.
And it gets to a point to where it's just like it's squeezing your head. I mean, it's all you can focus on. It's all you can think about. It's all you see. And we don't even realize that we're stuck.
Yeah.
Because that's become our focus.
Right.
Where we are.
That's been our priority.
Yeah, that's where we're living at. So until somebody comes and says, look, you need to get out of that place.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God for those people.
Yes, exactly.
Those people that come up there and, out of genuine concern for where you are. Say, hey,
and
we got to move you out of that.
How easy we allow ourselves to get focused on everything else around.
Everything.
And like I said, and it's not that these aren't important issues. Financial issues is something that, us as it's country and states and counties and parishes.
Yeah.
Got to remember we're in Louisiana. We face them financial hardships easy.
Right.
Where I've always said, as being self-employed, I'm one payday away from being broke completely. I mean, I'm broke now, but being bankrupt and losing it all, and so many of us are, and we get so fixed that's our only priority.
Yeah.
And you talked about happiness and joy this morning. One of the things, because I remember the Ford Pinto, you talked about the guy in the Pinto who has joy.
Yeah.
We're going to see him going down the highway. He's smiling.
That's right.
He has joy no matter what it is he's driving. The guy in the big fancy crew cab dually 4-wheel drive with all the bells and whistles, he has happiness.
And just to kind of let you in on what Jim was talking about this morning, you can fake happiness, but you can't fake joy.
Correct.
And that's just, and what we used was the guy, you can, a new house and a new car and a big house can get you happiness, but the guy that's got joy, he can have joy driving a Pinto, living in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Right.
You can't fake joy.
Right. So, and that joy is only found by God.
Oh, yeah.
And there is such a huge difference, even though they sometimes physically look the same. There is a huge difference between that joy and happiness.
That's right.
And finding the peace and where joy comes from and what we do with the joy, and not getting fixated on things like the mud, and because for me, that's where I head to the mud puddle.
Yeah.
I get zoned in on and finances. This time of the year is hard for me. Finances, I stay stuck on the mud puddle.
Well, and happiness, I think happiness is dependent on our circumstances.
Yeah.
Joy is, you have it despite circumstances.
Yeah.
Joy is, it don't matter what's going on around you. If you got the joy of, I got the joy down the mountain. If you got that joy, then, hey, man, it's there.
Right.
It's there.
Sometimes don't these words, these lyrics, these songs make a lot more sense now as we've gotten older and have sung them more. You go back and go,
that made a lot of sense.
That's what that brother was going through.
Yeah, now I know what he was going through when he wrote that crazy song.
Exactly. Yeah. So David, we never want to say that we have our favorites, but God favored David quite a bit.
He did.
But David was never immune to the hardship.
Oh, no.
To the temptations, to the struggles, to whatever it was.
There's a lot of us people.
Yes. And
there's guys that can really relate to David.
Oh, golly. Them Jezebels are all over the place.
I mean, it's I don't know if I said that.
I'll take the blame for that one.
Yeah. But David was far from perfect.
Yeah.
David, but hey, he was a man after God's own heart.
He was, and I think that I almost called him a character because I mean, and he's a biblical, I guess, character. But David, the way that he sought after God, regardless of things that was going on, I kind of sometimes I can relate really closely to David.
Yeah.
Especially the parts when he's not being so successful. And
Yeah.
you still find yourself wanting to seek after God, but you just keep stumbling and falling and messing up and doing so many things wrong.
Yeah.
His continual not giving up,
Yeah.
not wanting to quit it,
Yeah.
and still seek God, even when he's doing wrong, still going after him.
Well, he had a Nathan in his life.
Yeah.
He had a Nathan, so thank God for that.
Yeah, right.
Nathan said, "You'd won." Okay,
Ooh.
Yeah.
I find myself. You were going. Let's go back to the stick in the mud. I find myself a lot, and not meaning to be, and not realizing it. And sometimes when I self-analyze, I can go back months and go, "Golly, man, that was back in the spring, and here we are in the winter, and this is about the time I can track it back to." And I go out that door, and I'm like, "Well, how many people saw me being that stick in the mud?"
Yeah, man.
As I say, I love Jesus.
Yeah.
And they see the happiness, not the joy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes the fake happiness. So, I'm just glad for the people around us that see it. That's what church is all about.
Yeah.
I mean, we're too prideful to admit we got things going on in our lives, but thank God for the people that can see past it.
Right.
And they'll come up to you and say, "Hey, man, I see you're going through something."
I can see now why God warns us of pride.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at what pride, all the examples that you can come up with yourself on how pride could be bad for you,
Yeah.
man, pride is dangerous.
Pride is worse than dangerous.
Pride has separated myself from God.
Pride has sent a lot of people to hell.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it is most of the time. Well, I'm not going to say most. It's all the time. It's silliness.
Oh, yeah.
Pure silliness.
Yeah.
It's unmerited. It's undeserved.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
It causes us to rebel against God because we want to live our lives the way we want to live it. And, when that happens, we're being prideful.
Right.
Because we think we know more about what's better for us than what God knows.
Yeah.
So we're battling pride, and there's so many things that can go wrong in our lives that could be fixed if not for pride.
Yep.
Yeah.
And once we give that up, man, what a burden! What a burden! Unhauled, unlaunched, unhooked.
Yeah.
I mean, we give up pride. I know, especially us as men, because it's just the way we are.
Yeah.
Us as men that go up to our spouses or friends or family members, bosses, whoever, and just say, "Hey, I'm sorry."
Those two words right there can fix a lot of stuff.
And it will break down pride.
Yes.
That will be destructive.
Yes. Yes, sir.
I agree.
Yep.
Y'all listen, we hope that you've enjoyed today. We hope that you got something out of it. And we really, really hope that you take a look at yourself and understand how destructive pride can be and how destructive being that stick in the mud can be. Put yourself in check every single morning. And if you see yourself slipping, get out of it.
That's right.
And the best way to do it, stay in the Word and stay in prayer.
Yeah. Amen.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Read and pray.
Read and pray. Pray and read. Read and pray. Rinse and repeat.
That's right.
Y'all listen, we appreciate you so much. We always say it, if you don't have a church home, we hope that you find one. If you're local into the northwest, southwest, northeast corner of Texas, southwest Arkansas, northwest Louisiana. Let me get my states in there. And you're looking for a church home, we encourage you to come visit us. If not, we hope that you find one in your area. Anytime you ever have any questions or comments that you want to share with us, we love it. We love to hear from people, and we love to see that people have the same views, and we sometimes even entertain different views.
Yeah.
It's a fresh piece of mind.
Sometimes.
So we appreciate you very much. I'm Jim.
I'm Eric.
And this is Kicking It with Jim and Eric.